Oh, hey guys, wanted to go through our math homework for this week and kind of talk through some of these problems. I know it's a lot of pages. Keep in mind, we only have a few weeks left of fifth grade math, elementary school math, and then you guys will all be in middle school. So let's go through some of these. I'm going to give you guys the answers. I'm not going to work every single one of them out, but I'm going to tell you how you would work them out and some of the different ways to think about them. So I went through, I don't have an answer key for these. So I went through and I did all the problems on my paper. So I'm going to go through. I haven't looked at these very close. If I make mistakes, you can talk to me about it. But let's just go through and talk about each of them as we go through. All right. So to use this video right, you guys should either have the answer already done or pause before I talk about the problem and try to do it on your own. Because it is true, you can, in fact, just listen to me and copy all the answers. But that is not the intended purpose of these videos, right? It's for you to think about the problem. Think about what you would do, and then see if you got the answer right, and to think about how I did it, right? Because there is the one thing we want you to learn about fifth grade math is there's not just one way to do every single thing. All right, so do number one. Pause the video. Okay, so if you did number one, you can multiply that whole thing out. But remember, when we're talking about 10 to the power, to the third power, that's just a 1 with 3 zeros. So that is technically a 1,000, right? You also know, we've talked about it a million times, you can line that up and do a multiplication problem times 1,000, or you just move the decimal. And you move the decimal, that would be 1,000. You move the decimal for the amount of zeros you have, right? So for this one, I would just take 0.760 and move the decimal 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. And your answer would be 760. Also, think about it. If you have 0.76, which is almost 1, right? It's kind of like 3/4. But 0.76, if you rounded it to 1, 1,000, which is this, times almost 1, you're going to hear me do a lot of like estimates and what ifs. That's around 1,000, right? So your answer has to be around 1,000. So if you move the decimal wrong and just move the decimal to right here, your answer would be 76. That doesn't make sense. Your answer has to be close to 1,000, right? If you moved it too far the other way, the answer would be 7,600. Well, your answer has to be close to 1,000, not 7,000. So keep that in mind as you go through. All right, pause the video and try to do number two. Okay, number two, the key here is you got to read, right? Because this says an estimate. So an estimate for 59 would be about 60. An estimate for 19 hundredths would be about 2 hundredths, which is 0.2, or no, 2 tenths. So it'd be times 0.2, which would give you an estimate of about 12. Now you could have went different on that. So that one doesn't be exactly right, but I mean, your estimate should make sense. That's the only estimate that makes sense. Now it says do the actual problem. Well, to do that, you basically have to be able to do 59 times 19 and get your answer, and then be able to move your decimal point, right? We've showed you guys there's two. Once you solve this, you'll get 1121 if you do it right. Now, in this 1.9 up here, there's 2 decimal moves. So this is really here, you would have to start over here, move your decimal 1, 2, and get 11. Now, that's another thing to think about. If you have what is basically 20% of 59 bricks, you have 20% of them. 100% of those bricks would be 60. So you can't get an answer that's more than 60 because you only have 20% of the bricks. So you have to get something that is a lot less than 60, right? So that would be number 2. All right, pause and do number 3. Now, we haven't done tons of work with these grids, but this is 1, 2, 3. So this would be 0.3 going this way. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be 0.8 going this way. If you multiply 0.3 times 0.8, you get 0.24. And it's the same thing. 3 times 8 is 24. And then you've got to move the decimal 2 times. So you would move it to get it over here, right? So even if you weren't sure about that, there are 24 shaded in squares in there, right? And remember, that flat there, for our purposes, represents one whole, right? So each one of those pieces is a tenth. All right, pause and try to do number 4. Number 4 is what we talk about. You should be able to do very quickly because you just moved decimals, right? 5 times 8 is 40. We have to move the decimal 2 places, right? 1, 2. You would get 0.4. Here, I mean, I'm not going to do 5 times 8 every time, people. It's 40. We all know that, right? This one says we've got to move the decimal 3 places. That would be 1, 2, 3. You put in another 0. That gives us this one. Now they've thrown in 50 times 8. Well, it's still really 40. And then you move the decimal 1 spot. Uh-oh, I'm messing this one up. This one you might have to actually write out and do the math so you get the extra spot in there. So 50 times 0.8, and then you move the decimal 1 time, and you would get 40. And then down here, you've got 40 again. You move the decimal 1 spot, and you get 0.4. So don't let this, see how they threw in this 0 and it messed me all up? That was when you kind of can't do in your head once they throw that in there. You got to add that extra 0 in at the end, right? Oh, Mr. Speed is texting me. All right, number 5. You should get at the end 2277. And people, for real, this is where we stink, right? We have to take 495 times 46. 495 times 46. 495 times 46. And then when you're all done, after you do all that multiplication, you would get 22770. I'm not going to show you the work. You've got to practice doing that on your own. We stink. That's what you get at the end, right? Now, you've got 1, 2 spots, 3 spots for the decimal move. 1, 2, 3. It would go right there. So that's why I told you a long time ago, we got to practice our multiplication. When you're done, the decimals are an easy move, right? All right, number 6. You should get this one, and this one. Now, people, I don't really know how else to tell you this, but this right here is 5 tenths. So you have to see 5 tenths for it to be possibly right. This one has a 5 tenths. This one has a 5 tenths. This one has a 5 tenths. Right? So this one could never be an answer. This one, if you reduce, remember you can cross off zeros. That's 5 tenths. So that's why those ones stay in. Now, this one says 75 hundredths. This one says 75 tenths. So that can't be it. This one says 7,500, so it's good. And these two say 7,500, so it's good. So I know that one you guys all look at as like, ooh, confusing. And ooh, I have to start multiplying all these fractions out here to try to get the answers. You have to think. It's just asking you for ones that match those numbers, right? So I'm here to tell you to take the shortcut. All right, number 7, you should have got this one and this one. Remember, 2 to the 10th is a 1 with 2 zeros. So it has to move basically 100 times. It's got to get bigger. So all you have to do is come over here and basically, oh, hold on. Now you've done it. Basically, when you're looking at this, you're looking for 2 decimal moves. This is 1, 2. The decimal would be right here, 3.1. That is not 3.1. That can't be it. 2 decimals, 1, 2. That is not 50.1. That cannot be it. 2 decimal moves. 1, 2. That matches. 1, 2. That matches. 1, 2. That does not match. Don't let that 0 get you twisted, right? We say the zeros can be at the end and they're placeholders, right? But if you throw a 0 out here with the decimal right, if you do this, I'll do it so you can see it. That's 55. That's totally different than 550, right? To me, this is the only one that could have maybe tricked you because we talk about that 0 as a placeholder. It's only a placeholder if there's nothing there, right? It can't, if the decimal point is right here, it can't be a placeholder on the up to the left of the decimal because that would make it 550, right? All right, that is the first page. Turn it over to the next page. I'll go to my next page. All right, perimeter is distance around. You guys are going to mess the, or sometimes we do good, but we get area and perimeter confused. This is 4th grade. You're just going to do 2.5 times 4 or add 2.5 4 times, which would give you 10. And the next one says area, which is basically 2.5 times 2.5, which gives you 625. And then don't forget 2 decimal spots, 2 decimal spots, 1, 2. It would give you 6.25 as the area. All right, number 3 is like one of the problems we did before. Now we just have to find to its product. Remember, product in our vocabulary is the answer to a multiplication problem. So 10 to the second means, listen, I want to see if you guys follow me here because I don't know how to make this any easier, right? 10 to the second is a 1 with 2 zeros. So that is 100, right? 10 to the second power is like multiplying by 100. Forget this 0.4 out here for a second. What is this 3 times 100? I hope you're all saying 300. That means your answer has to be around 300. This is the only one that's near 300. This is a thinking problem, right? This is 10 to the 4th, which is a 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. That's 10,000. So we have to move 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's got to be a 0 in there. That's going to be into the thousands, right? Now, here's another one. This is just a plain old 10 by itself, right? What is 10 times 3? This is the only one that is close to 30, right? So that has to be it. 10 times 0.304 or 304 thousandths would mean you just moved the decimal, what? 1 place, right? So it would go, I went the wrong way, so I'm going to go up here. 1 point this way. So the decimal's got to be after the 3. Only one of those has a decimal with a 3 after it, right? Or a 3 and then a decimal. So that would be this one. All right, select all expressions that are equal to 0.09 times 0.4. This is like the other page, right? I say 0.09. Literally, we're supposed to say that as 9 hundredths. So you have to find all the ones that are 9 hundredths. Well, there's a 900, so that could be the answer, right? There's a 900, so that could be the answer. This says 9 tenths. Can never be the answer. And these other two say 9 hundredths. So now we've left those at, see, I need you guys or parents that are watching this. These problems look like hard solving problems, right? But they're thinking problems. Think about what it's saying. So now the next one is 0.4, which is 4 tenths. Well, this is 4 tenths. So that would be one of the answers. This is 4 hundredths. Can't be the answer. This is 4 tenths. Can be the answer. Now here's the trick. 40 hundredths reduces. Remember, when you see a 0 here and a 0 here, you can wipe them out. And then what does that equal? 4 tenths. So that one would count too. This is the one that gets us the problem wrong. You can't just throw them out for no reason. You have to figure out if they reduce, right? All right, let's take a look at number 11. Pause it and do number 11. Number 11 is just a straight multiplication problem. I would, if I were you, take 115 times 35 and then do the math. I could tell you the math comes out to 4025. Now you got to remember, you got to move the decimal one spot, right? Because this is really 3.5. So you would have to go here and move this over once, and your answer would be 402.5. I leave the decimal moving out to the end. I mean, you can write it in there right here and try to worry about it, but you're still going to have to move it at the end, right? Our biggest problem is doing the multiplication right, and then regrouping, and then adding it up right when we do it. So that is just a straight multiplication with a one little move of the decimal. But I will give you a hint. If you mess up moving the decimal and you left this answer as 4,000, think about what's up here. This 115 calories is about 100. This 3.5, you could say it's 3 or 4. I don't care. Let's pretend it's 4. Well, what is 100 times 4? That's 400, right? So if you move the decimal wrong here and get 4,000 as your answer, hopefully your estimate up here will make you go, ooh, I did something wrong there. And even if you pick 3, well, 3 times 100 is 300. So your answer is between 3 and 400, right? Somewhere in that range. Between 3 or 400 or close to it. It happens to be 402.5. Because remember, we rounded this 15 down. So use your estimates to make sense, because when you get this on the FSA, they're going to give you choices. And the choices, they're going to give you the answer. It's going to be 4025 for all the choices. They're going to put the decimal in different spots. So if you do a quick estimate, you should be able to get a lot of those. All right, do number 12. All right, number 12, there's two parts, A and B. And in A, it says there's 10 postcards. So that would be 34 cents times 10. You move the decimal, 34. You move the decimal one time to there. That's the one move because of this 0, and it gives you 3.4 as your answer. I also want you to think about it. If you have 30 cents and you get 10 of something, and you're skip counting 30 cents, your answer has to be around $3, right? So if you mess up the moving of this decimal here, you're going to get less than $3. You're going to get $30. Those don't make sense, right? In the next one, it's 34 cents times the 100 postcards. Well, that is just 2 zeros, 1, 2, 34. Same exact thing. If you have 34 cents and you get 100 postcards, that 34 cents times 100 is not going to give you, if you move the decimal wrong, not going to give you 340, right? So try to think those through. All right, number 13 is, I think, is this the one? It says use number sense to help you. Now, a lot of you guys, why this homework takes you forever is you look at this and you think you got to do every one of these problems. When it says use number sense, it means it wants you to think. So if you're doing out all of those problems, you're torturing yourself for no reason. It wants you to look at the fact that right here, this is an 8 right here, and this is a 1. So forget all the junk that's in the decimal, right? Forget all that junk. Your answer to this is somewhere close to 8 times 1. I hope you guys are all going 8 times 1 equals 8. And then look at these. This says 19, this says 29, this says 2, and this says 9. Which one's close to 8? That's the answer. This one right here says 5 times something that is less than 1. So let's pretend we do something ridiculous and round it all the way up to 1, which is absolutely mind-blowingly ridiculous. Your answer has to be less than 5, because 5, this 5 times this round up to 1 would be 5. We rounded it way up, so your answer is way less than 5. So you have to find a choice that's less than 5. How many of those choices are less than 5? That's right. Hopefully you're saying 1. So if you're sitting here doing these multiplication problems, you're not using your number sense, right? The next part, 6 times 4 is 24. You have to find an answer that's close to 24. Now remember, we rounded these up, right? No, we rounded these down. I'm sorry, 6.12 down. So your answer has to be 24, but it's got to be like higher than 24, right? Because we didn't add in, I shouldn't have wrote on this, now I can't see it. We did the 6 times the 4 is 24, but really this is, if you round it as 6, this is closer to 5. So your answer's got to be somewhere between 24 and 30, right? How many of those are between 24 and 30? That one got a little trickier, right? I had to take my time with that. And the last one, this is about 8. 7.9 would give you about 8. This is 2.4. You could round it up to 2.5. I like to do it by both of them. Let's do it as 2. That would give you 16. If we do it by 3, that would give you 24. So you need an answer that's between 16 and 24. How many are there? I hope you're all seeing the point of this. When you see these kind of questions on your FSA test or with tests we give you, I try to explain this to you guys all the time. Do the thinking thing first. Most of the time on the multiple choice questions, they give you the answers, right? On the multiple choice test, they've given you the answer. It's written on your paper. So let it help you. All right, do number 10. Number 10 basically says he runs 2.25 miles today. How much will he run after 10 days? Here's another thing where a lot of you guys will line this up and get all bent out of shape about trying to multiply it. If it's a tens, 10, 100, 1,000, ends in the zeros, you just move the decimal. So when we're talking 2 miles times 10, your answer has to be 20 something. So you just move the decimal one spot and you're done. And your answer is 22.5. See, the problem is you guys don't listen to me and take the easy way out. And you try to do the hard problem and then you mess up. 5th grade math is almost all thinking. Look at number 15. I literally wrote this one out of my paper and it says, select each other that makes 0.65 would make it true. So I wrote 0.65 at the end of all of these. Because that's what I'm multiplying by, right? Now I'm just going to move the decimal however many spots it says here. So that would be 1, 2. That would give me 65. That's one of the answers. This one says 4. Well, I already know from the 2 it ain't going to work, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer to this needs to be 6,500. That's not going to work. Move it one spot. That only gives me 6.5. Oh, but that is what they say. Ooh, 6.5. Yeah, that works. I almost crossed that one out. This one says to the third. 1, 2, 3. That equals 650. That's not what this says. That doesn't work. And 10 to the 1 means that you move it one spot, and that's 6.5. That doesn't work. All right. Go to the next one. Now, I'm going to shade this really fast just to show you what this means. But if you do 0.4 of a field, that means 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be all of this shaded in is 0.4, right? This is this part of it. And I really recommend that you guys do not use these pictures because it's hard and it gets confusing and you're going to see me have a hard time trying to show you this. Times 2.3. Well, here's 1, here's 2, and then it's 1, 2, 3, all of these in here, right? Now remember, when we do a picture like this, your answer ends up being wherever it double crosses, right? Wherever you see both colors, that's the answer. Now, why you would draw that versus doing 2.3 times 4 and getting 92 with 2 decimal moves, right? 1, 2. 1, 2, and getting 0.92. I don't know why, if you count it up here, in this area right here, there's 92 of them. Please don't draw the picture. I mean, I know we taught you that like in 3rd and 4th grade, but just do this problem to get the answer, right? You have to be able to do the multiplication. All right, go on to number 17. All right, so you need to figure out. I just did the work here and I did 0.65 times 1.2 equals 1.85, which once again, think about it as an estimate. You've got to do 12 times 65 and then move the decimal 3 spots, right? So it should come out to 1,850 if you multiply it. But you also have to think, right? 1, this is about 1, and this is 0.65. So 1 times basically something a little less than 1 is going to give you around 1, right? If you're going over here and your answer is 18 or 185 or 1,850, that doesn't match the problem, right? So take your time. And then you have to take the 1.85 and multiply it by the 52 weeks. So this one gets a little involved. I'll tell you, if you got an extra piece of paper, I need you to solve 65 times 12 and move the decimal 3 spots. And then I need you to do 185 times 52, move the decimal 2 spots for these two. And I'll tell you, when you're done, you should get 96.2. That's a tough problem. You won't see one that hard. So if you can get that one, you're in good shape. All right, number 18 says to use an estimate. So your estimate would be 8 times 8 for this and this, which is about 64, right? Then there were 3 walls. So it'd be 64 times 3, which would give you 192. Remember, you guys are supposed to be pausing this and working these out. So I'm not giving you all the info anymore. So if you haven't read these in advance, you're going to be going like, what's he talking about? Well, that's your fault, right? Now it says do the exact work. This one was estimate. This one is exact work. So now you're going to have to take 8.3 times 7.5, which I'm going to tell you right now, you have to do is 83 times 75 and then move the decimal 1, 2 times, right? And when you do that one out, you should get, double check your work, 62.25. And then you have to take your 62.25 times 3, and you would get 186.75. Don't forget, if you did it out on paper, you're probably going to get 18,675. Remember, you have to move the decimal twice, right? And just think about it. If you have 60 something times 3, 60 times 3 is 180. So your answer has to be around 180. If you move the decimal point wrong over here and you move it and put it in here, well, that's 1,860. Well, 60 times this 3 doesn't get you 1,000 something, right? If you move it the wrong way and you get 18. Well, if you have 60 something times 3, is the answer going to be 18? That's how you have to double check your problem, right? And then compare your estimate. Was it reasonable? 186, 192, I'd say it's reasonable, right? All right. The next page. Pause and do it. Basically, this is $1.99 times 6. You have to do 199 times 6, move the decimal twice. You should get 1194. This bottom part says, does her estimate make sense? $16.80. It really doesn't make sense, right? Because she multiplied by the tenths here twice, right? This one right here should be by the hundreds. So basically, you just got to write no for that one. She messed that up totally. Her estimate is not reasonable. The bagels cost about what? 12. 11.96. 22. The bagels would cost like 22 something, so it wouldn't be that reasonable. All right, look at number 20. Number 20 is just moving the decimal. The area, right? Square inches means it's 4.85 each all the way around, right? Square. 4.8 on each side. Area is length times width, so it's 4.8. 4.85 times 10 to the second power is a 1 with 2 zeros. So you're just got all you people, if you're lining up 485 times 100, trying to do all those zeros below it and add them all up, don't do it. Move the decimal 2 places and you go 1, 2, and your answer is 485. Plus, I know I keep saying it, but if you have 4, that's about 4, right? Times 100. Your answer has to be in the 400s. Even if you round this up to a 5 times 100, your answer has to be around 500. So if you move the decimals incorrectly right here and you stop it right here, your answer is 48. Well, 4 times 100 is not 48, right? See how to check yourself? Which expression represents the bar? The answer to that one is A. How many pounds did she buy? You basically have to do 3.72 times 4 or add all those up, right? And you would get 1488. Man, I'm mean. I gave you a lot of homework. I'm mean. All right. Literally the rest of this is just moving decimals, right? So it says, how many Japanese would each person get? So read through all this, do it, and then I'm going to give you the answers. Jade. Remember, we're looking at the Japanese yen, which is right here. It's 101.82. She spent $10. That's moving the decimal 1 place. So Jade would equal 1,118.20 cents. Just moving the decimal once, right? Julio, you take the same number, 101.82, has $100. That's 2 decimal places. 1, 2. That equals 10,182. Right? Yes. And Anna is 1,000. Do you see where this is going? The pattern is going to be 101,820, right? Just the patterns of zeros. That's all it is. How many Indian rubles would Ivana get? That's a hard problem, right? Ivana, $5.50 times the Indian ruples, which is up here, 61.92. I wrote that out. I mean, you can see it right here. I had to solve the whole thing, right? You won't get a problem that hard, but if you do the multiplication, it's 6,190 times 550. That is the only math problem in 5th grade that is hard for us. That isn't a thinking one. Is the multiplication with the 3 digits times 2 or 3, right? So I'm just going to give you some of these answers. This one would be a straight multiplication problem, and you should get 340.56. How many dollars does Luke have in exchange? Round to the nearest hundredth. I got 476. I also wrote 7.70. Why did I write that? I don't know what I did. Rupees. So double check. You should see one of these as your answer. Number 3 says use estimating. You should 250 times about 6 should get you about 1,500 as an estimate for that one. If you have any questions about these, we can talk about them. We go over homework. Number 4. I got 86.4 times 5, which comes out to 4,320. And that would be on the $500 gift, right? And this one should be on the $50 gift. It would just be 1 0 taken away, right? Oh, this is 4,200, and this one is 4,302. So you're just basically taking away the 1, 0, right? All right, solve number 5. Number 5 is just straight multiplication. I can't make heads or tails of what I did for number 5 here. I did too much work. $300 before arriving. Hold on, we'll look back here. Pesos. I got 1324 times 300. Oh, it's 13.24 times 300 is 3972. Should have something like that. When it says sketch the model, guys, I really don't want you sketching models anymore. I really don't. I'm running out of gas on helping you guys with these problems. This is too much work. What's wrong with me? So the last one, mostly, if you sketched it, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3. Or you could just go 3 times 0.73, which is 2.19. How does the model help you? It gives you a visual. This part down here, you would just write visual. But I have to be totally honest with you. If in 5th grade going into 6th grade, you're still drawing these pictures, it still messes me up. I know I went fast through some of these ones. I didn't really read these that close. And right now, I don't really feel like reading them that close. So check your answers. If these aren't right, I can double check and we can look on them. I wrote that in here. I solved it and really did this for real. But now I don't know. I don't know why I wrote what I wrote. I don't feel like reading it right now in the video. So, all right. Use this video to help you out and let me know if you have any questions. We'll discuss more of this in class.